Hey friends, you've got Renee Rivera here at Mold Mending. So if you see or suspect mold in your home that's not in your toilet, there are two different companies for you to consider. First, it is to seek the advice of a mold inspector. Some of them also go with the name of an indoor air quality tester or air quality inspector. The reason why you want to have them come out, which by the way, my husband and I have had two different inspectors come out to our homes at different times, and we've even had mold remediators come to our home. Two different mold remediators come out. And it is very nice to have someone with the knowledge of mold and who has been certified in it to come out and check and see if there really is a problem or not in your home with what you suspect or with what you see before you go and tackle it and maybe get into a bigger problem than what you assumed or what is just at face value. If you get a mold inspector to come in, many times they'll come have a quick conversation with you and maybe do something for free, just a quick look. And for us, it was just after a remediation job was done. There was a concern about a dark area underneath our threshold of our doorstep, and he checked it out and immediately just grabbed his keys, he scraped it, and he goes, "That's not mold, Renee. That's actually dust from the building of your home." So it was like, woo! But it was nice that he gave that free advice immediately, telling us, that we didn't need to have any further work done. So it was a great experience. So it's not just because of the good experience I've had, but it's also suggested. And online, there is a lot of information out there. Sorry to say, too much information out there about mold that is incorrect. And I'm coming here to give you this information to save you the heartache, save you the headache, and save you from getting scammed from the wrong company that you hire, or being shortchanged from a company that you hire who makes the situation worse versus better. So two companies, let's get back to that. So the first one is your mold inspector, and the second one is a mold remediator, both being certified. So let's just talk about the air quality inspector or mold inspector. What do? When you hire them to come out, they will do what I call a fine-tooth comb through your whole house. You know how when you go to buy a home and you have your home inspected, everything from the roof to the HVAC system to the pipes, all of that, your mold inspector is very thorough and very similar to a house inspector, except they're looking at all of the things of your house, but in terms of mold. Is there mold here? Has there been any water intrusion here? They're looking for signs of water having passed through areas, and they're looking for ways that maybe mold could come into your home in the future if it's not already there. So they're both a sleuth of a situation that's going on, but as well as somebody that helps you prevent situations to come later. So the other thing they do is they will conduct tests. Besides this full-blown thorough inspection, they will test your air. They will test the air outside and use that as a baseline, and then they will do the indoor. And you can actually hire them to do even extra places that you would like them to test, like inside of a wall if you suspect there might be mold there, you name it. So for us, we had an air inspector come out, and they did one outdoors. It's actually suggested to do two outside, two baseline tests outside of the air quality, and then indoors, all of your main places. So we had one at the front of the house, one at the back of the house. We had one, where's the other one? We had a crawl space one, and we even had one at a wall that we had suspected in this particular house. And it was a very thorough report. The other thing that they test for, so that test is looking for mold, okay? And they're looking for the volume of mold and types of mold. The other thing that they do is they test for your VOCs. Those are your volatile organic compounds, or the toxins that are in the air from, say, chemicals the chemicals that you're using for cleaning, or the chemicals that are off-gassing from your furniture. So we're talking not just mold toxins. They also look for ways that you can prevent moisture from increasing in your home, and they can give you suggestions on how to decrease, if your moisture level is too high, how to decrease that as well. They will also tell you where the high counts are in the different areas where they do the test against that baseline. They'll let you know, well, hey, this part of your house, this is really high, and when you compare it to the outdoors, it is higher than your outdoor count. You might want to be looking into this a little deeper, and they will look into that area deeper for you to discover if there is a mold issue, is there water intrusion issue. So they use that as a way of digging deeper on if there's a more of a situation that needs to be handled and solved. So then what they do is create this report for you, a detailed report for you of all these things I just listed, and that report they will give to you and suggest if you need to have remediation done or not, and we'll even suggest all of the other things, such as, do you need a dehumidifier? And if there is a need for remediation, they will then sign off on that. They will maybe ask if they could be the one to do that work, and my suggestion to you is to say no, because you want to have a separate company do the remediation work. You do not want the same company that's doing the testing to be the one that is doing the removal, because unfortunately sometimes we can be taken advantage of, and an inspector could actually add work that needs to be done, and I'm saying quote unquote, they could be adding jobs to this report that aren't necessary just so that they can add a little more to their bank. It's considered a conflict of interest when you have the inspector doing the inspection and then having them do the work as well. You want two separate companies, and that's why I'm saying these are the two companies to get when you suspect mold. So that first inspector not only gives you the report, but that report, they also give you a medically sound mold remediation plan that then is, you'll pass that on to then the mold remediation company, okay? They will suggest how to tackle any of your water problems, any of the mold problems on that work order. So if you have mold that has to be removed, please don't do it yourself. That's the whole reason why I'm doing this video, is to save you from running into some health issues because you chose to tackle something that might have looked very tiny, but in fact it became a very big thing. We also find out that there's this lie online, and there's this lie in different places, and even contractors who I've run into, they just say, if you've got mold, you paint over it, or if you've got mold, you just bleach it, or if you've got mold, well, if it's only this size, it's not really a big deal. Guys, it is a big deal. Online you will hear a lot of different places, even government agencies, saying, oh, if it's 3 feet by 3 feet or a 10-foot square area, then you can tackle it yourself. But if it's bigger, get professionals. That's a very poor way of approaching mold, because mold, even in just the size of my finger, just on the fingertip, or the size of my fist, which is much smaller than 3 feet, it can have a horrible impact on somebody's health and their life if that mold is handled improperly, and if that mold has even a greater cause behind it. Say it's something on the front of a wall that you just see a little bit of a mold patch, I'm just going to cut that out, or I'm just going to wash it down. And what happens? It's going to come back because it wasn't handled properly. And what if behind that wall is all this black mold, but all you saw was just this little bit of a different colored patch, we'll call it that. And that's actually something that has happened with me, seeing just a very small amount of mold, thinking, there's really nothing there. And when I move a panel, I found black mold all over. So just sharing from experience, and sharing from research, and sharing from the medically sound, it's called IICRC, a standard of what's the best practice for folks to follow when it comes to mold removal. and suspecting it. So who's the second company? So the second company, once you have that inspection done, you want to get that work order in the hands of an IICRC certified company or the IICRC certified technician who does mold remediation. Okay, you're going to hear me say IICRC standard a lot. This is the best standard that is available, and they do it properly and they do it medically sound. So what they do is they will receive then that work order. Then they will contain the area with 2 walls of this plastic, okay? They will wear protective gear for themselves. All the workers have to have this protective gear, the masks. They will remove the damaged material, cutting it out, removing it, sealing it, and putting it in a bag, sealing it, disposing of it. Then they will treat that area that's in containment and remediate what needs to be remediated. Then they will clean it, and then once they have done the proper protocol through the IICRC standard, they then will even treat the rest of the home to make sure the home area is back to a healthy level living area, and they've got the right bacteria in there as well versus the bad mold bacteria. And then it brings you to a mold-free air quality and mold-free environment. So my encouragement is just please do not mess with mold yourself. Have an IICRC professional take a look at it. They will save you your money, they will save you your time, and they can save you your health and even save your home. So remember, we can be well even while ill. Take care.